We're joined now from Rome by Father Paolo Benanti, who is the Vatican's go-to expert on AI. Father Benanti, thank you so much for joining us. I'm just curious, why does the Vatican have an AI expert and ethicist?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm so glad to this opportunity to be with you tonight. Well, actually, this is not new for the Vatican. 120 years ago, when the Industrial Revolution happened, the changing on life of people, the transformation that happened in all the world start to push the church in the front of transformation, looking at people and how people are simple, living different lives, not with the same rights, starting from there, not with the same quality of life and things like that. So this is just the last ring of a long chain of reflection of the church on the impact of technology in everyday life.
Yeah.
And this source of automation now bring to AI.
By all accounts, I mean, everybody believes we are about to experience profound changes around the world with AI, and it is largely unregulated. The Pope today, as I said in the intro, called it both fascinating and terrifying. What scares you or worries you most about AI?
Well, let me express with one sentence. Not artificial intelligence, but natural stupidity. It's a tool. It depends on the way in which we will use it. So the problem is always in the human being side, not in the machine side. But
so you're worried about how people will use AI?
Of course, and how we are seen to be used also during the election, the campaign for foreign influence, or the using the word to select target or to have this lethal autonomous weapon. But more than that, the Pope used the word terrific. That is not to say that is something to be scared of, but it's a long religious word to simply address out something that we could have a religious relationship to. When you go to an oracle in the old Greece, you simply have a terrific image of the oracle. The next time that you will find your fiancé, simple asking to an app, it will be terrific in that sense.
Okay.
You believe to the app much more than to your heart. That was behind the word of the Pope. But simple to be more concrete. The day in which we developed a car that was fastest than the human beings, we developed a guardrail. Now, this self-deciding machine needs some kind of ethical guardrail.
You advised the Pope on his recent warning that AI could lead to, quote, a world devoid of human mercy, where algorithms decide who's granted asylum, who gets a mortgage, or even who on the battlefield lives or dies. That's what you were just speaking about your concern about AI weapons.
Well, once I was in New York, actually, and a huge company showed me one of the best AI in the medical field and tried to force me to ask something to the AI machine. I asked to the AI how we can remove the cancer from the earth. The first answer that was given to me, simple, kill all the human beings. Well, this is a right calculation, but it's a really unethical choices. The problem is it's all here. What is the best solution? The calculated one or the decided one?
And why
this is the stake.
And when you're talking about AI weapons and that sort of thing, why is the Vatican talking about this? The Vatican once condemned Galileo for saying, the Earth revolved around the sun and not vice versa. Historically, in many hundreds of years past, the Vatican has not led the way when it came to science.
Well, first of all, don't make the same mistake twice.
Okay.
One is a mistake, twice is a vice. Don't make the same things twice. My background is an engineer, and so there is nothing bad in technology. And I think that the foreword of the speech of the Pope simply say that, when say that technology is an expression of the high level of the human beings.
Yeah.
Before the risk, we have to see the advantage that the AI can bring to us. Things how we can apply to research on medicine. Then the second thing is if this will multiply the best part of ourselves or simple multiply injustice. This is the core question at the heart of the church.
A group of the very top AI researchers warned in a letter last year that AI posed an existential threat to humanity. Do you agree with that?
I think that we have much more urgent problems. Before the extinction of the
More
human being,
urgent than an existential threat?
Yeah, we can
Okay.
assist the extinction of the middle class. That is not so good, you know. Probably the extinction of the human beings will not happen, but the extinction of the middle class, the disruption of economy, that's something that is already happening. A lot of white collar are fired during these days, and this kind of deep social changing is a trick for democracy if you would like to have a stable society with stable relationship. So let's look at the real and really near problem before addressing the end of the world.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.